Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So today is my interpretation of the astrology for October 2022. As always, you have free will and you can listen to what I have to say and then make your own interpretations or desires known at that time. Okay, so this month we start off with our first eclipse, right? At the end of the month, we have Mercury going direct. And of course, with the eclipse, we have a new moon and then we have a full moon in Aries. So let's get to it. The other big thing that is going on in the background, transit going on in the background, of course, is Saturn Square Uranus. So October essentially will at least mark the end of a really close in orb square with these two planets. And I'm giving it a birth of a time period of the 2nd to the 12th of October for this final influence. So I would expect that October is going to see some, not necessarily conclusions with regards to our changing of the guard, where the old has to be replaced with the new, although certainly even in the past few months, we have seen major changes, unexpected changes in shifts of power, right? So this will also be kind of like a grand finale in some ways, but the curtain will rise again for sure. And so it's again that big push. So there will be some kind of significant events happening in October with regards to that, the changing of the guard, right? There's still places that need to have those changes to bring in the new, basically, right? And in our own lives, we may also have that theme playing out. Are you clinging too much to old, traditional, maybe archaic ways of doing things that really need to be changed up, right? Now we are looking at, in terms of degrees, for those that are interested, we're looking at the 18-degree mark here, right? And so for Saturn, we're looking at 18 degrees of Aquarius. And for Uranus, we're looking at 18 degrees of Taurus. And of course, we also know that the eclipse isn't too far off those degrees either. So on the 2nd of October, our Mercury retrograde, that is at 24 degrees of Virgo, even though it started in Libra, will be going direct. So I said in my earlier video that last month that I really felt this Mercury retrograde in Libra and Virgo respectively was an important one, not only on the global stage, but also for us individually. So if you've been waiting to take all that careful information, that useful information, those facts that you've been gathering with regards to whatever it is. Specifically, it's probably going to be to do with a relationship, a money matter, the value of yourself, anything to do with the law, which is Libra. So you've collected all the information that you need, and now you want to scurry back to present it as this is what I found. So that's going to mark a time when you feel you can really do that, the 2nd of October. Now, we still have to go through the shadow period, right? So the shadow period then takes us to the degree point that Mercury in Libra went retrograde in September. And that's at 8 degrees of Libra. So here we've got 8 degrees of Libra and 24 degrees of Virgo being important degree points. So that's really going to be on the 17th of October. And I am going to predict that in terms of the world stage and mundane aspects, I would say that this probably day, if not a day on either side, will certainly bring something forward with regards to some kind of legal matter. The law is going to be involved here, but it's only after it's very scrupulously, and very critically and very analytically, that's Virgo that it went back to, right? Has collected this information. So I expect some significant things around that time of the 17th of October. And certainly if you've got something in your life that you've been carefully analyzing and looking at information, it could even be a research type project too. where you now can actually bring it forward more effectively. Technically, of course, the retrograde stops on the 2nd of October. That's going to be all good news, by the way. So on the 8th of October, Pluto goes direct. So Pluto is a powerful transformational planet. Pluto relentlessly seeks the truth. So here we've got this now happening where perhaps in the past months when Pluto was retrograde, some of that truth was held back in the shadows, right? Because Pluto also is the shadow side of life as well. But now with Pluto going forward, it's literally marching forward, right, with the truth, along with Mercury, which is going to still be in Virgo, going forward with the facts. I like it a lot. So be encouraged for those folks that have, say, in any matter in their life, just been stymied with regards to being able to move forward with something you know is the truth, that you know is important, but for some strange reason, you've been thwarted. This is your green light, specifically here on the 8th of October, right? And right the way through. Pluto will take some time to really start moving forward again, right? And get its power back. But anytime a planet rather, is going either direct or retrograde, it's at that time period that the power is the greatest, right? And the more significant things that could potentially happen. So, hey, we could also have Pluto rules people in power. So as early as the 8th of October, we could have some more people being removed, either forcibly or voluntarily from a position of power, right? Because that's going to be working in conjunction with that whole background transit of the Saturn Square Uranus, bringing in the new. So our first moon, our first lunation is going to be on the 9th of October. It'll be a full moon in Aries at 16 Aries 32 minutes at 1:54 p.m. and that's Pacific Daylight Time. Now remember, with a full moon, we have the moon, in this case in Aries, but then we've got the sun in the opposite sign causing this full moon. And so that sun is at 16 degrees of Libra. So here we're bringing in the Libra again, right? Relationships especially, but also the law, diplomacy, and on a lighter note, charm and sweetness. But it's going to be conjuncting a Venus, which is what its ruler is. So even though this is a full moon and it's going to be bringing a conclusion, a culmination of some sort, an ending into view, especially if you've got something around those degree points, because the sun itself, the inner essence of this full moon, is conjunct not only Venus, which is a beneficial planet, it's called a lesser benefic, it's also the ruler of the sun. So I see this as a very positive thing. This could, for some people in their day-to-day lives, this could be a new relationship comes your way. Or in particular, maybe this is going to be a new start in an existing relationship. So for those that have been, fraught with maybe relationship issues where things haven't been clear and you're just unsure, I would say this full moon could maybe end that confusion or end that indecisiveness and have some sweetness come in here where maybe this relationship takes on a whole new shine and you're able to move forward in a better way. Because this Venus is conjuncting the sun in Libra, we're talking about balance. So perhaps there are going to be some people who finally find some balance in their relationships. And of course, that's all about having discussions, right? But the full moon in Aries itself is saying, I want to charge forward. I want to do things my way. I want to be independent. So there may be other folks that decide, I need to go my own way here and blaze an independent path for myself, pioneering something new. Now, it's got to be sort of close to that, I would say 15 to 17 degrees of Aries where it will have a big impact. So say, for instance, you've got your ascendant is in Aries around those degrees. This could be your green light where you are able to finally move forward. Mars rules this full moon. So then we look to see, well, where is Mars right now? And we see Mars is in Gemini, and it's been in Gemini for a little while, and it's going to be in Gemini for quite some time. Mars in Gemini will go retrograde on the 30th of October and stay retrograde till about mid-January next year, but it will stay in the sign of Gemini till about the 25th of March, 2023. So if you've got any planets in Gemini, certainly around almost any degree point, because it covers quite a geography, this Mars in Gemini, either retrograde or direct, there could be some significant redoings and reconsiderations. But because it is going direct at this time, I would say that it's supporting this full moon in terms of especially directing energy towards anything Gemini. So that's messages, that's communicating with other people, right? Gemini is the twins, it's two people. So again, this lends itself to the idea of relationships. And as long as you're entering into dialogue, right? And this can also be taken up on a global level too, where dialogue is extremely important. Dialogue, negotiating contracts. Now, this Mars that rules the full moon is actually trine Saturn at this time. Trines are favorable energy. So this is encouraging anything to do with communications of any sort on any level, whether it's at a collective level or at a personal level, an individual level. So this full moon, I thought, was actually a really nice moon for moving forward, for those that have been waiting to move forward, but also to move forward with negotiations and move forward with true back and forth communications, right? I guess you could call that negotiations. We also have, now that Mercury is direct, right, still around the 24-degree mark of Virgo, hey, that's trining Pluto, and Pluto's direct. So this full moon I saw as a very positive full moon for relationships, especially if you open up dialogue, and also for any kind of diplomacy as well. There's going to be so much favorable energy here where people will want to work together to bring something to a conclusion so that they can head off on a new path, right? So that's how I saw this full moon playing out. To my Canadian viewers, I wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. That's going to be on the 11th of October this year. All right, let's go down now to the 19th. So on the 19th, we have Venus in Libra trining Mars in Gemini. On an individual level, this is great energy for bringing in, I would say, more flirting and sort of like the cocktail party. That's how I view this. When I put these two planets together, which are kind of the celestial lovers, in those two different signs, both Libra and Gemini tend to be more on the more superficial, but in a nice, charming way. So I saw this as the cocktail party on the 19th, where you may very well meet, some of us may very well meet somebody new, where it just is light and airy as opposed to deep and serious. So this could just be socializing, really nice socializing things on the 19th, or for some, meeting somebody that they can connect with for a love relationship. This is all going to be around the 24-degree mark, and it'll be the 24-degree mark of Libra for Venus and 24-degree mark of Mars and Gemini. Now, the next day, the Sun will trine Mars and conjunct Venus, now at 25 degrees. So this is a positive sort of follow-up from maybe whatever social event some of us may have gone to and maybe met somebody, could even be meeting friends as well, good friends, where it's now taken up to, hey, let's make this happen, where the Sun conjunct Venus really feels that they want to maybe be a little more charming and a little more social with whoever it was that maybe you met that day. But again, very positive energy with regards to supporting anything positive to do with relationships, friendships, that type of thing, or any activity with regards to socializing. And, we've all been really restricted really even over the summer and that with things other things happening. So yeah, I would say that sort of 19th, and you could take a birth of a few days there, like say take it from the 18th to the 20th, would be great days to say have a social event of some sort for those folks that do want to plan anything around that time. The 23rd of October, we have Saturn now going direct, and it's at 18 degrees of Aquarius. So I think on the collective level, on the world stage, this day or days around it may actually represent another more concrete, clearly spelt out change of some old guard. And it could be very unexpected, right? Because when we look at Aquarius, which is where Saturn is here going direct, it's at 18 degrees. And of course, we have an eclipse coming up at the end of the month at 16 degrees, not far off that. So this may be unexpected, surprising change of guard. And let's hope it's voluntarily coming about around this day, where somebody who realizes they need to step down does, with grace and charm. Of course, that's the other thing that anything to do with Libra can do, is it can bestow a lot of grace and charm. All right, so then we look at the 25th, which is the day of the new moon eclipse at 3:49 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time at 2 degrees of Scorpio, 0 minutes. What I thought was interesting was that we have the sun and the moon and Venus sandwiched by Mercury, now direct at 22 degrees of Libra on one side. And then on the other side of the sandwich, we have the South Node at 13 degrees of Scorpio. The word that came to my mind was council. I saw this as some kind of council. Maybe it's a council of nations. Maybe it's a local council. Maybe it's a family council for individuals. But this is a whole new start with regards to anything to do with our psychological selves. Certainly Scorpio can also rule, the deeper aspects of life, and it can also rule money, right, as well. But I really saw this new moon as some kind of, I think it's a world council of some sort that's going to get together and really produce some fabulous, important things. Because although it's wide, Saturn will be trining a direct Mercury at 22 degrees of Aquarius and Libra now, right, respectively. So we now have not only do we have Mercury out of shadow, yay, but we also have it back in Libra, the law. So, and of course, if you think of Saturn, Saturn also has a lot to do with rules and regulations. So I think this new moon eclipse is going to herald some kind of new rules and regulations issued, maybe even dictated from a council of some sort. And because Libra is very much involved here, this is, again, the law. But again, I love this. This new moon eclipse is really good too. So for those folks that say, have something around the 2 degree mark of Scorpio, depending what it is, this could be a whole new beginning. And for those Scorpios that were born, say, at the beginning of the Scorpio season, this could have a whole new start for you with regards to being able to move forward in any way that you want. And I think there's a lot of Scorpios that probably really do need not only a new start, but a really good new start. Like, this is support. When you've got the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and the South Node all together, it's saying, let's have bygones be bygones, or let's let that old thing that happened go, no problem, and let's just move on from that. That's kind of what I get the impression of this is, not only on a collective level, but also on an individual level. Yeah. Okay, so the 27th, we have Mercury that is in Libra at 25 degrees. Will be trining again, trining Mars. So these are the celestial lovers again. So maybe some kind of social event, this is individual, of course, that you went to around, say, the 18th, 19th, or 20th of October, could have somebody maybe reaching out to you, because this is now Mercury kind of reactivating the Venus-Mars trine. Now it's Mercury trining Mars. So this is forward movement. And the 27th is before actually Mars goes retrograde, right? So it's still before the official retrograde. And so I saw this as just really messages coming in, charming messages, sweet messages coming in, probably as a result of whatever happened around the 19th. So we could take that out to the global collective level or individual level. So look to see what you have around, say, we had the 24-degree mark when it was Venus Mars. This is 25 degrees. So let's take it from 23 to 26 degrees of Libra and Gemini respectively to have some kind of more important, significant effect for you. Okay, so we've got the 29th, and we have Jupiter retrograde now at 29 degrees of Pisces. And 29 degrees of any sign is very much sort of a culmination of the sign's energies, but it is called a critical degree. So this is coming up, it's butting up right next to the Mars retrograde, which will happen the next day. So I see these two things going together, the Mars going, the Jupiter going now backing into 29 degrees of Pisces, and then the Mars going retrograde as sort of consecutive events. So this is basically having us to be compassionate. So there may be something that comes up in the world that really requires a compassionate eye and action at this time. Now, Jupiter will stay in Pisces till the 21st of December, at which time it will finally go into 0 degrees of Aries, and then of course kick off the Jupiter in Aries. And I did do a video on this for those that have not had a chance to watch it. I'll put the link below in the text box, but I won't go into all the sun signs and ascendants as well. I also did one for Jupiter in Taurus too, which starts sort of May time next year as well. So I've covered the next 2 Jupiters going into different signs for you, should you like to look at it. And of course, I go into all the sun signs and ascendants as well. I'll put both those links in the text box below for you. Okay. Yeah, the other thing is for those folks that say have something around the 29 degree mark, although Jupiter is retrograde, it's hard to get a bad aspect from it. So this, for those folks that say it's your ascendant around 29 degrees of Pisces, this could be with a second time with Jupiter being on top of your ascendant, say, giving you another dip of luck and benefits. All right, so we're getting close to the end of the month here. On the 30th, like I've mentioned a couple times, we have Mars and Gemini now going retrograde in the early morning Pacific Daylight Time, and this is a Sunday. Now, we know that a lot of places in the world celebrate Halloween, and I would say that probably a lot of folks will be celebrating that weekend. So I would say the weekend of probably the 28th, 29th is when the actual parties will take place. So this Mars retrograde, I would say, is going to put potentially, from a really positive standpoint, especially from an individual level, I saw this as folks really reconsidering and rethinking maybe some existing way they thought before. I thought this is really rethinking the way I'm doing something. Now, you would have to look to where is Mars and Gemini in your chart. So look in your chart to see where Gemini essentially is, because it's going to be that area of life in your life that actually has you rethinking things, right? So let's say it is the 4th house. So the 4th house represents things like your home, can represent your mother and your family too. But it may have, if you've got your Mars in your 4th house, may have you reconsidering buying a home or selling a home. And it doesn't mean you're going to do one or the other. It just has you rethinking things. Mars is great because it's action, but when it's retrograde, it says, yeah, I'm going to take action, but I need to put some energy into thinking about this, especially since we're in Gemini, right? Gemini is about our thoughts. It's about the way we write things, the way we present ourselves. So it's writing as well. So for some folks, let's say it's in your third house or your ninth house. So these are the houses of communications for sure, but they're also writing and publishing, respectively, houses too. So for some folks, you may be literally deciding to rewrite some things, and that's a positive thing, right? But I think overall, this is going to have us rethinking as a nation and maybe as a world how we've been viewing things, especially messages that have been coming in, and rethinking about, well, what do I think about those now, right? So you're going to see that playing out on the stage during the retrograde, again, from the 30th of October right the way through mid-January 2023. So it's really going to be more like February, March, where this whole Mars is going to be going forward and giving you the impetus to move forward with whatever house area of your life that Mars sits in your respective individual charts, right? We can leave comments and certainly discuss this back and forth over the next few months. Of course, I'm always interested in what other folks have to say, so feel free to leave comments. So the other thing that we have happening around this retrograde is we have the Sun conjunct Venus. That's at 7 and 9 degrees Scorpio, respectively. We have Mercury also in Scorpio, now at 1 degree. And then the transiting moon is going to be conjunct Pluto. So this is a powerful point. This is at 26 degrees of Capricorn. So let's just go back to Capricorn a little bit here. For those late-born Capricorn, so those born, well into January, this could be also an aha moment of some sort that is necessary for you to maybe do some planning. That's how I see this going. With the sun, or the moon rather, conjunct Pluto, it's bringing in some kind of emotional illumination of some sort that could be transformational. But because you've got the Mars retrograde on top, some Capricorns are going to get the opportunity maybe to redo some things here, especially as it applies to writing, communicating, or messaging of any sort. It can also, go out as far as generalizing it to sales and commerce as well. It covers those areas too. So the exact conjunction of the transiting moon and Pluto at 26 degrees of Capricorn will be at 2:23 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on the 31st of October. So I'm going to leave that there and just say that that end of the month could bring some emotional truth to light, right? We talk about, when we take the moon up to a global level, we're talking about the people. And then when we're talking about Pluto, we use one word, and that's the truth. So the truth is going to be revealed to the people, maybe literally on Halloween, the 31st of October, 2022. As always, I love to do people's charts. Astrology is my most favorite thing to do. And I want to thank all my viewers, as well as my listeners on Spotify. My goodness, that channel has grown exponentially. Thank you so much. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. We're now in the fall season, and it's time to get cozy up here in the Northern Hemisphere. And the Southern Hemisphere, it's time to go down to the beach, I guess. All right, everybody, I'm sending you lots of love. Please take good care of yourself. We've got a big packed month in November with a major total eclipse coming, right? And that's going to be in Taurus, conjunct Uranus. Bye for now. And we will talk to you next month. All right, so let's get into the ascendant signs or sun signs, or both. For Leo, the full moon in Aries is in a fellow fire sign like yours, so it forms a beautiful trine. It is in your 9th house, so this could represent for some Leos an end of a journey. It could represent the end of some kind of educational program. It could also represent, for others, the end of a legal matter. And that would be something that you would be very happy about. With Venus influencing this full moon, money could be involved in this as well. Perhaps you will get, maybe some court case will be tied up for some Leos, and you get more money than you thought. Or you don't have to give out so much money that maybe your lawyer will come back and say, I overcharged you here. Let me give you some of that money back. It can also represent females, though. So a female may feature here in whatever area of the ninth house. But foreign people and foreign things are very much related to ninth house. So it's some kind of wrap up here with regards to foreign things or foreign people as well. With Mars and Gemini, Mars and Gemini is sextiling you, Leo. So this is excellent for you. This is in your 11th house. So it could be that old friends, especially Mars represent males, you could have literally a male or males that were old friends literally come back and contact you, especially during the retrograde period from the 30th of October this year, right the way through to mid-January next year. But this whole period of the Mars retrograde lasts right from now, when I'm making this video, right the way through, like the 25th, 26th of March next year. But it could have you just being very active with friends, where you get out and actually, maybe you've not been very active with meeting up with friends. This is have you getting out and having fun with your friends. It could have you also deciding to join maybe new organizations. That sort of thing could be happening as well for you. Maybe you collaborate with friends in some way. Maybe even collaborating in 11th house, earning money, right, in the businesses that you have. So for those Leos that have their own business, this Mars in the 11th house could have you planning and being introspective about the money that you're earning, and maybe coming up with unique ideas through the friends that you have, or even leveraging the organizations or groups you belong to bring in more money, right? It could also bring opportunities to have some of your dreams and wishes come true. Mars, especially going direct, could activate a dream or wish that you have had. That's a positive thing. So in the background, the square between Saturn and Uranus, well, Saturn, of course, in Aquarius is opposite your sign. So this is kind of, has been superiors basically challenging you. Challenging you in a way of not letting you express who you really are. Well, that's all waning. That's all going away now. This is the last kind of hurrah, the final opportunity to just let all that stuff go and have some more positive change come in here. As long as you're embracing positive change, you're going to be okay. But it doesn't mean that people can't be unpleasant, especially superiors to you. You've got to find with Uranus a different way of doing things. Don't follow the same, don't keep repeating the same things over and over again that don't work. This is you finding new ways, new unique ways that are pertinent to you, but that help express your authentic self, but that change up that relationship with your superiors. I think that's a big one for some Leos. And of course, with Uranus in your house of career, this can just bring, like on the surface, a lot of Leos are just going to have some, not only major changes in their career, but major changes in the place that you're doing your career. So what can that play out as? People being eclipsed out of your life that were, say, your superiors, your managers, your director, all of a sudden they're gone. Or all of a sudden someone's eclipsed into your life. So there's a lot of comings and goings that are unexpected in your career. You could also have an unexpected opportunity of a lifetime in your career, Remember, Uranus takes about 87 years to go around the sun. So for pretty well everybody that's a Leo, this is a once in a lifetime. So be open to potential major change in your career that's going to be positive for you. It'll come in a totally unexpected way. But I think for a lot of Leos, there's going to be a big literal changing of the guard wherever you're doing your career. So if you've been frustrated with some of the folks in there, know that that's all about to change. Now, it may not change exactly right away at the end of October. That may become more obvious, though, once we have that eclipse happening, right, on the 8th of November, 2022. All right, something positive. So the new moon eclipse in Scorpio squares your sign, Leo. And it also is in the 4th house of home, the family, your mother, and your habits. So you're going to have challenges. That's the square in all these areas. Typically, we read this as the house that you're living in, the home that you're living in. So there just may be some challenges where it's a new moon eclipse, right? So there's some new thing happening in your home, but it's going to cause a few challenges for you that you have to overcome. Now, because Venus is also here in Scorpio at this new moon eclipse, it adds beneficial energy. So I would say a female may resolve or help resolve whatever challenges may be coming up for you with regards to the home or your mother, for instance, or maybe even the family. It could just be a crisis in the home where a female is going to come in and actually help you out. It could be that you get money through efforts on your own, the square, you are able to buy a home, right? That the Venus that's in there, your 4th house as well, gives you the money or somehow gives you a benefit to buy your home or to sell your home. But Venus is adding a big cushion in there to whatever challenges you might have in the home. So it's not all doom and gloom here with regards to this square at the new moon eclipse. You can have that new start. Yes, you can in the 4th house, but you're just going to have to overcome some challenges, work with others, especially females, to overcome the problem, and you'll be okay. Look out for any benefits that maybe you've missed with regards to resolving issues. And money might be somewhere that you've not actually looked at yet, and the eclipse will open your eyes to that. Good luck, Leo. So that wraps up my October 2022 view of the astrology. Next month is a big month. We have the eclipses. The eclipses continuing, in particular a total eclipse on the 8th of November at 16 degrees of Taurus with Uranus conjuncted. Big changes are afoot. And in fact, that eclipse will certainly exert an effect probably for 6 months, especially if you've got something around that degree point. All right, folks, I'm sending you lots of positive energy and lots of love. Leave me comments. I would love to do your chart if you would like me to do that. You know, I just love astrology. I can't get enough of it. Please take care of yourself, and we will see you next month. Bye for now.